Zaffa Publishing presents I'll Find You, written by Liz Lawler and read by Jessica Ball. Prologue. Courage abandoned her as she stared into the darkness. Her legs turned to rubber as if she'd run long and hard, and her heart thudded as she dragged in air. Her mind froze with indecision. She needed to get a grip, to just get on with it and start searching, before the porter returned and caught her there. Her week of spying on him and following and noting down times of his every movement could change. His nightly routine of hanging up his porter's jacket in the staff room, with keys still in the pocket, before getting into his car and driving off-site to one of 3 neighbouring takeaways, was no guarantee he would not return any moment and catch her in the act. She needed to be quick. She pressed her trembling hands together, attempting to squeeze away the tremors, and stiffened her legs to give them strength. It was not the fear of looking that stopped her taking this step. It was the fear of what she would find. She reached out and patted the wall, feeling for the light switch, hearing the pings and buzz of electricity as each perspex square on the ceiling above illuminated brightly. The noise filled her ears, and in her heightened state, she imagined it being heard outside the building. She listened intently, but the momentary sounds had already ceased, and she could find no more reason to abandon her mission. The place was silent, except for the sound of her own breathing. The room, rectangular, windowless, and very private, looked like a bank vault with safe deposit boxes, where clients were taken and left in privacy to open a box and store their most valuable items. The difference here was in the size of the boxes. Each was big enough to take a body. The first and last were even bigger and were used to take the largest of the cadavers. On one wall she counted 12 doors, enough fridges for 12 bodies. That meant there were 12 spaces to check, not counting those on the facing wall. If she hurried, she could be out of there in minutes, have the keys back in the porter's pocket with him none the wiser to her being there. It may only take the opening of one door to find who she was looking for. The small terracotta floor tiles were worn, and the black scuff marks told of the back and forth journeys of rubber-wheeled trolleys. Parked trolleys and hydraulic lift sat at the far end of the room, the lift plugged in for battery charging. A single chair was set against a drab grey wall. She would open doors from left to right, bottom to top, so that she didn't miss any out. She made her way to the nearest fridge and gripped the handle. The heavy door opened with barely a sound, and cold air cooled her heated face. The cadaver was zipped inside a white body bag. She held her breath, not wanting to breathe in the air of the dead, the lingering scent of hundreds of bodies that had lain here before. The temperature was set to keep bodies cool, but could not prevent rot. When she finally took a breath, she was relieved to find that all she could smell were the harsh chemicals that the fridges had been sterilized with. Her fingers trembled as she eased open the zip, relief flooding her as she saw grey, wispy hair. Inside was a featureless old man or woman with hollowed-out cheeks. She closed the bag, shut the door, and moved to open the fridge above. Her eyes fixed on a bald head, noticing wrinkles and liver spots. There were similar bodies in the next few chambers, with more grey hair on some, whispery white patches on others, a peach-coloured afro on another, then a shock of white blonde hair tied back with a scrap of bandage. Someone young. Resting for a moment, she tried not to imagine a face to fit that body. She unzipped the next bag, gagged and had to cover her mouth. The head was charred black, with red congealed blood that had settled like jellied lava, pushing through burst skin. She banged the door shut and gulped the air, trying not to imagine the particles of dead flesh that she could be inhaling. The dead can't hurt you, she whispered into
Sample complete. Ready to continue?